Okay, here are my 5 practice tips that will really help lower your scores. Let's start with putting. So whenever I go to a new course, or if I'm playing any round on a different day, I calibrate the speed of the green. I do that with 4 tees and 3 balls. What you want to do is just have a tee so you've got your starting point, and then just walk 5 steps. Put a tee in the ground, and again, walk another 5 steps. Then another 5. Now I've done this on a slight slope, so I'm going to be able to practice an uphill and a downhill putt. All I'm looking to do, I never play around where I've putted towards a hole and potentially missed a putt. So now I'm going to practice and go to the furthest one first, which is the 15-step putt. And what this is doing is helping me understand what sort of length swing I need to hit the ball that particular distance. I'm not worried about direction as such. I'm going to aim for the tee, but that was a 15, which is pretty good speed. The 10 will obviously be a slightly shorter backswing. Again, not too bad, slightly overhit that. And then I'll go towards the first one, which is the 5 steps. Now, the reason I talk about steps is that I would actually step out each of my putts during the round, so I've got an idea. And all I do is go up and down. So that was the slightly uphill putts. I then go to the 5-step and hit towards the starting tee. Slightly downhill means it's going to be slightly faster. A little bit short. Grab the ball that I slightly overhit to the 10. Hit down to the starting tee again. But all this is doing is helping me understand about distance, helping me understand about distance control, because at the end of the day, these positions, you're not really expected to hole it, but we're just trying to eliminate the 3 putts. If I can always get roughly the right distance, I can 2-putt every green, hopefully hole the odd one, it's definitely going to help me to lower my scores. I will just go up and down this for about 10 minutes, and then I'll be ready for the first tee. My chipping tip is to make sure that we're getting good low point control. Now, whether we are talking about back foot, middle of stance, up high, we've got to control the low point depth. Now, one of the ways that we can do this is just making sure that as we're going through the shot, we are extending up towards the sky and rotating towards the target. If we start to see ourselves slightly lowering, flexing the knees a bit more, we're going to enter the ground before the golf ball, because the low point is deeper into the ground, which is obviously going to cause you lots of fats, or thins, should we say, of the opposite reaction. So whether you release the club, whether you are trying to drive the leading edge to keep it low, all equates to having a low point depth where it's just brushing the turf. So I like to feel that I'm getting taller as I'm finishing the shot, rather than getting lower as I try to hit it. Just try to feel that I'm extending myself up. My knee flex remains the same and maybe slightly extends into my lead side. But if I extend up, I then barely make any damage to the ground. And whether it's you're doing back foot style, middle of stance, open the face, or what, everything still involves a low point depth control. Extending the chest, getting away from the earth, is definitely going to help you to be more crisp with your contact. Okay, bunk play. Really, the most crucial thing is the control of when you are entering the sand. Obviously, if we get a little bit closer to the golf ball, we may generate a little bit more spin, but really we're trying to make sure that our next shot is not in this bunker. I like to practice, and I know you can't do this in tournament play, but if ever I was playing a friendly round of golf or just practicing, about a club head behind the golf ball, draw a line. Now this line is going to help you to understand entry point. I want to feel that my entry into the sand is just by the line, and therefore then I'm going to be able to hit sand first. I'm going to be able to then get the lift that I need from getting a bunker shot, and I'm going to get consistency. If I've drawn a line and I've got, say, 3 shots, and my entry point is varied from hitting way before the line or keeping the line in contact and getting very close to the golf ball, your consistency of distance is going to be all over the place. So if I have 3 shots and I'm focusing on that entry point being just there, I should be able to make sure that I get consistent results in terms of my entry and then trajectory and therefore distance. So I can already see slightly behind the line. It gives me feedback, otherwise I wouldn't have known. But because I entered the sand first, I was still able to get it out and actually hit quite a nice shot. So let's see if I can, again, focus on the entry point just being at that line. Much better in terms of my entry point. And then last one, this just gives me consistency when I'm striking. That again, I hit the line. I'm focusing on the line. I'm then able to then control my entry point, control my length of distance, and hopefully my shot. Okay, my iron play tip is going to work on low point again. Ball striking is so crucial in the amateur game. Yes, we're going to hit it left. Yes, we're going to hit it right. But if we're failing to make ball contact first, our distance control is going to be all over the place. And obviously we're losing a lot of distance. And the majority of the time when we miss the green, we're missing it short because we're not striking it correctly. So I'm going to use an alignment stick cover. Could use a towel for this drill, but very simply, you want to put something behind the golf ball. Give yourself a little bit of room for error because obviously this is a little bit padded, so I've got a nice bit of area there, but it's just a visual. If I'm hanging back on my trail side and dropping wrist angles, I'm going to make contact and therefore I'm going to be very aware of my low point. What we're trying to achieve is obviously ball contact first and maybe a bit of damage after the golf ball. So just having something there just gives me a little bit of a visual. So therefore, when I strike the golf ball, I'm going to be aware of my low point entry. Okay, my last tip is going to work on driver. Probably the hardest thing that amateurs struggle with is angle of attack. Actually understanding that a driver swing is different from an iron swing. With an iron swing, I'm trying to hit down on the golf ball. With a driver, I'm trying to hit up on the golf ball. So best tip is actually to use the head cover of a driver. If you just place it, maybe a grip and a half in front of the golf ball. All, again, you're trying to do is a visual to avoid it. So when I'm swinging, if I'm getting ahead of it, if I'm delivering that club down negatively as an angle of attack, I'm either gonna strike the head cover with the club or maybe with the ball. From this position here, I therefore have to feel like I stay slightly behind, encourage a positive angle of attack with my shoulder tilt, and therefore miss the head cover, which will therefore allow me to strike the ball on the up and gain some more distance with my drives.